Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Wicked Good Show. I am your host, Dylan. I am here with my buddy, my amigo, my comrade, my co-host, my pal, dare I say, my good friend Brian. Brian, what's up?
Hey, Dylan. Not too much. How are you doing?
Doing good. I'm a little tired right now because I was out until about 2 this morning seeing it
Yeah, well,
last
we
night.
do this for the fans, you know. We
Sure.
put ourselves in harm's way for the people who will appreciate it. And yeah, I remember yesterday you were like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna see it at 10," and I was like, "Oh, that is that's a long movie to see at 10. How did that go for you?"
So we'll get into it when we do the review, but it definitely played a factor to my thoughts on the movie, and we'll get to
I'm
it.
not surprised. Yeah, I mean, it's a long movie for one, but well, but before we get to that, Dylan, we have some trailers we want to get into. Is that right?
Yeah, so to kind of just catch up on some news that's come out this week, a relatively quiet week compared to the past few weeks that we've had, but we did have a couple trailers drop. We had Jojo Rabbit, its first full-length trailer, and both you and I were actually just watching it right before we came on the pod, and I'm even more excited for this movie right now, honestly. This trailer was great. I love the German version of Believer in here.
That was good.
I was waiting for for Smash Mouth to come on,
Mm.
but it was German, but that's fine. And then we had David Bowie's Heroes, but yeah, man, this movie looks great. I'm this is now that I've gotten it out of the way, it's really this Joker and Star Wars that I'm most looking forward to for the rest of the year, and this trailer really got me more excited. What did you think about it?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously being semi-familiar with the director's work, you know what we do with the Shadows, and then of course Ragnarok. It was kind of like I was kind of curious as to what this overall style and tone would be because, of course, while Ragnarok is fairly unique for a Marvel movie, it still is like very polished, very like Marvel. Um, and then what we do in the Shadows, like a really low budget mockumentary. So to see like what he can kind of do when he's seemingly given full creative control, I was interested. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like mix between Wes Anderson and like Mark Webb.
Yes.
You
Yep.
know those two directors, which I like both of them quite a bit.
Wes Anderson for sure. I got vibes. That's a great call.
And yeah, man, I don't this. It's such a strange backdrop for like a coming of age story, but hey, if he knocks it out of the park, this could be like a really special movie.
So for anybody who doesn't know or forgot, Jojo Rabbit is about a young boy growing up in Nazi Germany, and he's in Hitler's army,
Yeah, the
and
Hitler Youth.
he finds out that his mother, who was played by Scarlett Johansson, who has said some problematic things recently. That's neither here nor there. Plays his mother, and he discovers that she's hiding a Jewish girl in their home. And Taika Waititi plays Adolf Hitler, who is basically a imaginary friend to this kid. It sounds problematic off the bat. I think I don't know if we talked about this on the pod or we talked about it just you and I, but this is one of the properties that was acquired by Disney when they bought Fox, and there were rumblings that the Disney executives were nervous that this movie might stir up some trouble. Apparently, they thought that now that this is under Disney, that people that think they're going to see a Disney movie would wander in and see a satirical Nazi movie, which
Right. Yeah, that doesn't really track.
yeah,
But sure,
man,
Disney.
I am full throttle, really excited for this. It's under 2 hours, which after my experience last night, I take anything that's as short as possible. But yeah, October 18th, we have a little over a month to go. Well, we're going to be reviewing this in the pod. Go check out the trailer. It looks great. It looks like it's a like Brian said, it's a coming of age movie. It's obviously nothing's going to be pro-Nazi in this movie, and I've also read some reviews because this is I forget which festivals that was this past weekend or going on now, but that it doesn't rely on like Nazi humor, and I don't mean like the humor the Nazis used. I mean like oh yeah, we're Nazis, we're bad. Like
Right.
I guess it's a really smart movie, which I would expect out of my boy Takei. Do you say Takai or Takei?
I've heard it pronounced Taika Waititi.
Taika.
Yeah.
I'm fucking dude. I'm running on like 6 hours of sleep right
It's
now,
quite all right.
which is actually a lot of hours of sleep. So I take that back. Yeah, really really fired up for this. I know you are too.
Yeah,
This is
man, it looks great.
I can't wait. I really can't wait to review this. It's a fresh original movie. Takei is on his shit right now. Apparently it's based on a book. Never read the book, but I'm sure.
No, I haven't either. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
I'm on the MD page right now, but yeah, Jojo Rabbit. Fuck yeah, I think that we'll be talking about this come Oscar season 2. Unless it's this year's A Death of Stalin, which is a very similar satirical movie about a unfunny time. Death of Stalin was phenomenal, and it got fucking snubbed like crazy at the Oscars.
Well, hopefully the same fate won't befall this movie. We'll see though. I'm really looking forward to it. So we will see. It's such a interesting movie to make at this time.
Yeah,
it's a risk,
but
I think it could pay off.
Yeah, pretty much after the weekend, we have a really good stretch of weekends of movies. We have Ad Astra, which I'd really like to review. We have Jojo Rabbit. We have Joker. We're in like a really good stretch, and these were a lot of the Oscar movies are going to come out too. But
yeah, man, like I said, any space movie, I'm down. So we'll
absolutely, yes. All right, so next up, the next trailer that came out this week, a movie that I actually forgot was coming out next year, but it's a franchise that I loved as a kid growing up, and I still love the movies, and that's Bad Boys for Life. It is coming out January 17th, which in 2020, which is that date makes me nervous. Like this should be like a summer blockbuster movie. I don't know why this is coming out in the actual dead zone of movies, which is right after all the Oscar qualifications, like that deadline's up. So I don't know about all that. Michael Bay or Jerry Bruckheimer, whoever did, I think it was Michael Bay, are not coming back to do this movie.
Yeah, definitely Michael Bay was the director of the other two.
But
go
ahead. Go. No.
Yeah,
go
no.
ahead.
I like you were saying, January is an odd time, but when I think about that, I remember Taken came out in February that year, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is gonna suck." And then I really enjoyed the first Taken. I think it was a big hit generally. So hey, it doesn't mean 100% it'll be bad, but yeah, it's definitely like a uneasy slotting for this movie, which I actually thought looks really good from the trailer. I've never seen a Bad Boys movie, but the trailer seems funny. It's very very Will Smith,
Yeah, which funny enough, Martin Lawrence is actually my favorite actor or character in these movies, and I haven't seen him anything in a while. And man, he's getting old and fat, which, buddy, aren't we all? Yeah, it's been 17 years since Bad Boys 2 came out, which is nuts. I remember seeing Bad Boys 2 at the drive-ins,
right,
to show how long ago that was. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I think it has high potential to be terrible. I really do. I see a lot of people saying that they think it looks great, but if it's a movie that knows what it is, and a lot of people going into it know what type of movie it is, which especially Bad Boys 2 of all of them, or most Michael Bay movies are really, you know what you're getting. It's an action-packed, bro-fest, just over-the-top, nonsensical movie. And even though like Bad Boys 1, I thought was really, really good. It wasn't too crazy with the action, but it had like a lot of slow-mo and just like the crazy like rock like guitar strums that someone's getting shot and shit like that.
Right.
But no, this looks great. It's done under Michael Bay. I don't know if he had anything to do with it at all. I'm sure he got some
producer
credit just because it's his franchise. But yeah, Bad Boys, looking forward to it. I'm glad they got Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, and apparently there's also Bad Boys 4 coming out.
Whoa!
Which
hey, that must mean that they believe in this somewhat.
I guess, but also if you have a Bad Boys 4, like how do you not have Bad Boys for Life and also have like the 4 being the number 4?
Oof.
That seems like a missed opportunity.
It's a huge missed opportunity. Honestly, scrap this. We're just gonna give this one a new title and then let that, because you're right. That's a travesty.
This will also be something we'll review too, because there'll be fucking nothing coming out during that time.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'd be down. Why not? Like, I do think that Martin Lawrence getting like older and fatter, and then Will Smith looking exactly the same, is kind of hilarious. For the movie, I think that will help it, honestly.
Which, speaking of which, I'm actually finally going to see Aladdin tonight.
Oh, whoa! Oh, you're not going to a theater, right?
God, no.
That's what I thought for a second. I was like, it's still in theaters? What the hell?
It's available. It's available to buy on digital. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
pull the trigger
enjoy.
buy tonight. We'll we'll see if it'll be
fun.
one of the one good Disney live action movies. And then the other trailer that came out this week is Between Two Ferns, the movie. I will let you give your thoughts on this first before I go on my tirade.
All right, so Between Two Ferns, obviously based on the Funny or Die series, where Zach Galifianakis hosts an online. Well, I think this premise is basically it's a public access television show where he interviews fellow celebrities, but in a contentious manner. I always assume just like scripted, just like the basic idea is that everyone hates Zach Galifianakis and he's a fucking asshole while he interviews them, and it's awkward and funny and takes like people out of their element. It could be non-scripted. I don't know. If it is non-scripted, it's very like in the same vein of the Eric Andre show, if you're familiar with that. The trailer looks pretty funny. It could be a mixture of scripted, like the parts where they're actually going places, and then unscripted where he's interviewing people. But I'm looking forward to it. If, as we were talking before the podcast, if people who watch our stuff are familiar with like things we may have tried, the show on Last of the Good Ones take a lot of inspiration and influence from this style of comedy. So for me, I'm looking forward to it. As Dylan is someone who's maybe not as familiar, as much of a fan of that style. What are your thoughts on it?
So I've only seen maybe bits and pieces of Between Two Ferns. I think I saw the one with like it was Obama on it at one point.
He was, yeah.
I think I saw that one. I think Hillary Clinton was on it too. I think this looks terrible. I think this looks. I kind of to what you said. I do not understand if the real life actors are in on the joke. I don't know how they couldn't be with Zach Galifianakis, another very famous person in Hollywood, doing the interviews. I don't think they forgot who he looked like. I think this looks fucking awful. Right. Like I think this looks terrible, and it's. To what you're saying, it's a type of humor that I probably do find funny.
Right,
but
yeah.
It's not like Borat where so many people don't understand that this is like a famous. So this is Sacha Baron Cohen. This is Zach Galifianakis being Zach Galifianakis. And maybe I didn't watch enough of the show to really appreciate it, but I think this looks dreadful. Like I think this looks like it's going to end up being a painful watch. And I like Zach Galifianakis. And I loved Funny or Die when the internet was still young, and that was really one of the first true comedy websites I went to. I think this looks bad. That's one of the things that it has going for it. Which, speaking of small run times, this is only an hour and 20 minutes long, and it's also going to be on Netflix.
Yes.
So that is two things it has going for it. It has going for it that will maybe get me to see it. Especially if I hear good things. But I think this looks very bad. They have this is I've never seen more stars in a movie, if you want to call it a movie. Like even something like This Is the End. I've never seen more stars. It has Keanu Reeves, Tessa Thompson, Brie Larson, Haley Steinfeld, Matthew McConaughey, Benedict Cumberbatch, John Hamm, Will Ferrell, Rashida Jones, Tiffany Haddish, Adam Scott, Lauren Lapkus, who is in Crashing, which is a great movie, a great show on HBO.
Yes, that's a very good
Peter
show.
Dinklage, from a little show called Game of Thrones.
Yeah, maybe heard of it.
Galifianakis, Jason Schwartzman, John Cho, Chrissy Teigen, John Legend, Chance the Rapper, David Letterman.
Jesus Christ.
It's so like they definitely didn't shy on the Hollywood names being in there, but that's kind of like to my point. Like if it's unscripted, I guess I just don't get it. You know what I mean? I guess I just don't get what the point of this movie is. I'm sure it'll have funny parts because I think Zach Galifianakis is very funny, but I just don't get it. And I'm not really looking forward to it.
Word. Well, those are all three. We'll see how it goes.
Shut up, Brian Wong. How about that for disagreement?
Yeah, there it is, Brian. Finally. Well, also maybe we'll disagree on the main movie because you don't sound too keen on it.
So one thing that I want to touch on before we get to that, and I almost forgot, and I'm glad I remembered. And I guess spoilers, but not really because I don't really care. The Birds of Prey trailer showed before it.
Oh yes, tell me about this because I didn't get to see the trailers.
Yeah, so it was very last minute. I actually, like an idiot, I was like excited for this trailer, if you want to call it that, for some reason. I don't know why. And so I went through the trailers, and it did the thing where the the movie light. I'll describe this trailer in depth. The movie lights, the lights in the theater dimmed down, so you was ready for the movie to start. And this theater in Littleton, Massachusetts, that I go to, a message pops up always before the movie starts and says like, "Don't record. Piracy is bad," but whatever. Right. It's very like no other theater does that. And so that's how I knew the movie was starting, and it starts.
Is this a Showcase theater by chance?
It's called O'Neill's. I only think there's 2 theaters in this like region.
Gotcha.
And it shows the Warner Brothers logo because these are it and Birds of Prey are both Warner Brothers movies.
Right.
It shows like the red balloons. So I'm like, okay, this is it. And then it showed the DC logo, and I was like, okay, this is the Birds of Prey trailer. Because and I read.
Were you still hopeful at this moment? Like, oh, maybe it'll be good, even though they faked us out.
No, but because at first, this theater that I go to, they sometimes like skip trailers, which I don't know if that's legal. Maybe they don't. Maybe I'm just making that up. So I just thought they didn't show the trailer. And then when I saw the DC thing, I was like, oh, okay, this is the trailer. Cool. And I was really, at this point, I was kind of like, all right, like this is different. They didn't just show the trailer. Like this is like a build-up thing. And then they have and I'm kind of like, unless Pennywise is now in the DC EU, I do not think that this is the actual opening to it.
Right.
And so, which Pennywise versus Batman, talk about a fucking that's an epic matchup.
Well, it'd be Batman wouldn't be afraid, so it would end pretty quickly.
So they have a shadowed figure walk up, and it's meant to look like Pennywise, and it's actually Harley Quinn, and she like hits away the balloons with her hammer, and she says something along the line of like, "Oh, clowns are old news," and this is because this movie is also called The Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. It's just an awful title to a movie.
Okay.
The full title of the movie is Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Like, I'm all set. That is such a fucking like 2010s title to a movie. Like that sounds like it would be a bestseller book on Audible, but it's a DC movie. And it then just cuts to 10 seconds of mashup from the movies, and it just shows like all the different characters are in it. Ewan McGregor plays Black Mask. An actor, I'm forgetting his name, is playing Victor Zsasz, and then there's a few other. I think Canary's one of them. I forget the other one. 10 seconds and that's it. I remember reading this online before that they were only showing in theaters. It's not online. Unless it's online, I haven't noticed it yet, which is why
I don't think it's online.
You have not seen it.
Right.
It was literally total. The actual footage from the movie shown is 10 seconds. It cannot be any more than that. I literally was sitting in my seat being like, what the fuck was that? Because I was expecting a full trailer, because this movie comes out in January or February. I think this is a Valentine's Day movie. So this movie is I might be bad at math. That's less than 6 months away, I'm pretty sure. Right? And so we haven't even gotten a full-length trailer for this yet, and that was like their big full-length trailer. This movie's gonna fucking suck. Like, because first off, the marketing's gonna be terrible, because it's kind of on 2 parts. They're not releasing it online because it's a nothing trailer, because they can afford to do that, because they're gonna eventually release the full trailer that's not going to be just theater restricted, which I love that idea, getting people out to theaters, sure, but it all was just a ploy in the end. If there was anybody out there only going to see it just for the Birds of Prey trailer, you kind of got fucked over, because that was nothing. I know nothing about this movie other than that Harley Quinn is in it, which I already knew. I know nothing about this movie. I was so upset, and I don't know why, because I had zero excitement for this movie at all. I have negative excitement for it now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, doesn't sound like I missed too much by missing that trailer.
You sure didn't. And also, missing a trailer at AMC theaters when they have 45 minutes of trailers is the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, a friend who I went to see it with was very late. Like, I bought the tickets on my phone, so I had to wait. And
shout out AMC A-List.
Yeah, they don't let you like go inside past the, which is tight. Very, very fun.
Yeah, they don't fuck around there.
So I just stood outside. Because he was like, oh, I'm around the corner, and then he missed a turn, and then he got all like fucking turned around, and I was like, okay, this is great. But hey, I saw the movie, so are you ready to get into a non-spoiler?
Yep. Review? Yeah. So after that trailer, the movie started, or the teaser, whatever you would call it. It 2019's It Chapter 2, obviously starring Bill Hader, James McAvoy, Jessica Chastain. Isaiah Mustafa from the Old Spice commercials, James Ransone, who was actually in Generation Kill, an HBO miniseries, which was phenomenal. Jay Ryan, Bill Skarsgård, obviously, as Pennywise. And then they have the child cast from the first movie back for some flashbacks and stuff. Brian, right off the bat, I'm going to let you go first. I need to muster up my thoughts. So why don't you give your thoughts first?
So yeah, this is the older story in it. Obviously, the book isn't separated. It's more like there's a interwoven narrative between when the Losers Club faced off the first time and the second time with Pennywise. The first movie only covered when they were kids. This one is when they're adults. Every 27 years, Pennywise returns. They thought they killed him in the first one, but in case they didn't, they made a pact to return should he ever return himself. And everyone has moved on from Derry except for Mike, who stayed behind as the librarian of Derry. And he sees that people are getting killed. We had a pretty fucked up scene in the beginning, this inciting incident. And he calls all the losers to return. And then they have to face off once again with Pennywise. And for me, I thought it was I don't know, Dylan. I might just have a really low standard for horror movies, because I haven't really seen one that's like blown me away in quite some time. And I also just watched It Chapter 1 like a few days before I saw It Chapter 2. And for me, I thought it was, an entertaining movie. I thought it was a little bit too long, honestly. Like, could easily chop 25 minutes off of this and you wouldn't lose anything. The performances of the adult actors are quite good. Specifically, and I'm sure if you've read any reviews, you've seen this, Bill Hader kills this. He's amazing as old Richie.
It's very good.
Which is surprising, but maybe not, because like you were saying in our last episode, he's amazing on Barry. He's just a very talented comedic actor and now dramatic actor. I thought it played with genre very well. This is honestly one of the funnier movies I've seen in a while, which is weird to say about a horror movie, but I thought it balanced that decently. And for me, I enjoyed it. Dylan, what did you think about it?
So Brian, real quick before I get into mine, can you score both It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2 for me, since you have seen both within the past week?
Yeah. No. So I thought It Chapter 1 was a better, like, paced and cohesive story, more traditional horror movie. So if I had to, I'd give that a 7 out of 10. And then this, because of the overly long, basically the movie could have ended a lot sooner than it did, in my opinion, as well as just general, I guess, retreading stuff, like stuff that we already knew from the first movie, stuff that didn't really add to the overall narrative. I'm going to give It Chapter 2 a 6 out of 10.
All right. So it's the very first It for me. Full disclosure, I saw only bits and pieces of the miniseries when I was younger because I was terrified of it, and I never read the book. So that's my really only exposure to it is through memes, GIFs, and GIFs, whatever you call them, and the first It movie that came out, was it 3 years ago? I think it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, 2017 maybe.
I think it was 2016.
Yeah.
Neither here nor there. So I actually gave the first It an 89 out of 100. I loved it. I thought the kids were great. Finn Wolfhard as young Richie was awesome. I thought Pennywise was terrifying in that movie. It was a movie I didn't think was really that scary. It had some jump scares, but I just thought it was just a really well told story. And I thought the Adventures of the Kids, it was basically like the Goonies and Stranger Things all mashed together. That was like the real popular saying for it.
That makes sense.
It Chapter 2. I am actually going to read a tweet from someone on Twitter that I thought summed this movie up perfectly. It's from Scott Wampler.
Okay, shout out Scott
at Scott Wampler BMD. He said, "It Chapter 2 isn't bad, and you should definitely see it if you enjoyed the first one. But it's entirely too long, undermines some of its best scares with bad jokes, and its structures is repetitive to a degree that it becomes tedious." I could not have said it better to myself. And I said it earlier. I saw this movie at 10:30 last night. So right off the bat, it was very, very late, and I got tired very, very quickly. So I want to put a little side note. I'm going to see this movie again eventually, and I think that potentially I could be giving it an unfair review for what I'm about to yell about because it was very late and maybe I wasn't giving it a chance. And also, I fell asleep at some point. I don't know if it was for 5 minutes or if it was for 30 minutes or an hour. I honestly don't know. So I'm going to get all that out there before that. This might be the most disappointing movie I've seen in a long time.
Oh man,
I was very, very disappointed leaving the theater. I don't think this is a bad movie. I just don't think that this is a good movie either. I think this is a very average movie. I'm giving it a 65 out of 100.
Okay, we're not too far away then. But I think this is my thing. Like I was saying, I maybe have just way too like not impressed by horror movies. That for me, like a 6 out of 10 is like, yeah, that's a good horror movie.
And so it's a 24-point drop from the first It. And I've actually seen a lot of people saying that this It is better and it's more true to the books, which I think that many different people could have different movie going experiences with this movie. A lot of different people could be going to be scared, which I didn't think the first It was very scary either. And I'm not like a manly man. I'm not afraid to admit whenever I'm scared. I just don't think that these movies are scared. And I don't really know if they're intended to be like real jump scare heavy scary movies. They have a few jump scares, but
this one had a lot more jump scares, I thought, than the first one.
The first one definitely didn't rely on it.
Yeah.
But this movie was basically 3 hours long. It was about an hour longer than it really needed to be. I thought that they really, really tried to, and I guess the book is like 1,400 pages. Right? It's a really big book.
Yeah, it's really
which maybe one day I'll read it. And I guess they need a lot of time to explain what happened between when they were kids and now. And I was so fucking confused at first when the movie. Well, actually, this is a spoiler. We'll get into it in the spoilers. It's very, very long. Its length is by far the biggest thing working against this movie. I basically like, and I think that I could be unfairly judging it because of how long it is and how late I saw it, which is why I'm going to give it another chance and maybe I'll change my score. But with the length aside, I just don't think that it's like a good movie. I just really don't. I think that it has some really good acting performances, and I think Bill Hader was fucking unbelievable, and I think he's unbelievable in everything he's in, and I think maybe he could have a Best Supporting Actor nomination come around. Maybe the Golden Globes for starters. I don't know about the Oscars, but we'll see. But I thought he was really good. He by far stole the show. I also thought James Ransone as Eddie really stole the show as well. I thought all of them were really perfectly cast. I don't think anything negative for this movie came from any of the acting at all. I thought this was perfectly cast. James McAvoy's Bill was good. I think you could be better. So I guess it wasn't perfect, but I think that you could certainly get worse. Jessica Chastain was awesome there. The only other person I think that maybe could have been better was somebody like Amy Adams. And I'm only saying that because Sophia Lillis, who plays young Beverly, played young Amy Adams in Sharp Objects.
Oh, interesting.
On HBO. So I think I might like that a little bit more. But Jessica Chastain was great. Isaiah Mustafa, I don't think he's ever acted in anything else. I think he's on a show on Freeform.
He's definitely on a TV show or something.
Which I've never seen.
He didn't go right from the Old Spice guy to.
But I thought he was good as Mike in this. And then I thought Jay Ryan, the weakest of all of them, in my opinion, was still good as Ben, as adult Ben, and somebody that I actually think the guy that played older Stanley, I thought did a great job. And we'll get into him later. And then Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. I thought Pennywise by far had the biggest drop off in this movie compared to the first movie. I thought Pennywise was a bitch in this movie, honestly. I did not like Pennywise. I thought the more interesting parts were the relationships with all the people. This is really a movie about people dealing with loss, honestly. And I don't want to say mental illness, but there's just so much more there than just them battling the clown, honestly. And you do get to spend your time individually with a lot of these characters. So to take it or leave it, that's what goes on in this movie. Yeah, I'm giving this a 65. It's really tough to fully lay out everything I'm upset about without getting into spoilers, but 65, and I'm gonna put a asterisk next to that because I'm gonna see it again, and there's a chance that it could rise or it could fall. I honestly don't know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think you said about all there is to say about it.
There's also a side story in this that we'll get into in the spoilers that I fundamentally do not understand why it was in the movie. And I'm assuming it's a bigger thing in the book, that type of thing. I fundamentally do not understand why it's in the movie. Does not make any sense to me, but we'll get into it.
Right. All right. Is there anything else you want to add to it before we get into spoiler territory? Oh my goodness.
No. For anybody who's jumping off listening, shout out Brian Wong, who I know for a fact has not seen this movie in the movie theaters. We will see you next week. We're hoping to jump around and do a little TV show catch up. We'll do something like Mindhunter, The Boys, and then
something like that.
We have a string of movies coming out after that. We're very excited for. So if you're leaving, see you next week.
Yeah, and if you're checking this out on just the clip on Wicked Good Everything, the entire show is on Wicked Good Podcast. So make sure that you go over to that channel and finish this up if you've seen it. And if you haven't, subscribe to it and then listen to the rest of this episode and any of the other episodes. All right. You ready, Dylan?
Ready.
Guys, we're getting into spoilers, so for real.
Guy on the bicycle.
Yeah.
Hurry up.
Yeah, we know you just purchased the bike that you had as a child, but you gotta pull over, man.
Little movie talk right there.
Oh yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So I don't really know where to start first, but I guess I'll start where I'm leaving off with that whole side story thing. The whole side story about the guy that was essentially possessed by Pennywise and was now in a mental hospital and eventually escaped killing people. I guess I really don't understand what the point of that was. I don't understand why he was in the movie.
You think he could have just stayed dead?
He could have not been a character in this movie and it would have been fine. His whole thing in the first movie when he kills his family was terrifying. It was something that you feel like could happen in real life, which I think was part of the scary thing about it. It was like, oh yeah, people do this shit all the time.
Stabbed his dad in the neck. It's not like that outrageous.
So I just don't understand why it was in the movie. And now that I'm thinking about it, it's frustrating me even more. I don't get and the whole thing with him and his fucking dead friend, the dead friend driving the car, that was ridiculous. That was laugh out loud funny, but it was fucking absurd. It was like you said earlier. This movie was way funnier than I think it had any intention of being.
Yeah, I'm sure there was definitely moments that they were trying to do comedy, and I thought they did well. I can see what you're saying with him. He was kind of like a red herring. I don't really get Pennywise's powers a lot of the time. Like, Pennywise is obviously the Deadlights. Like, that's what he is, or she, whatever Pennywise is. And I just don't get, does Pennywise have to physically inhabit particular spaces, or is he omnipresent and can be in multiple places at once? You know what I mean?
So there's a lot about Pennywise I don't understand, and for a fucking 3-hour long movie, you figured they'd explain it a little bit better. But
and I get it's more creepy if you don't explain it. That's fine, but I just wish I had a better grasp on what his powers were. You know?
Yeah, 100%. I doubt we'll get an It 3, but yeah, agreed. Is he actually dead now? I don't get that. And the way
did he create that knife out of nothing to give to him in there, or did he find the knife that he used? I don't get it.
So part of the other thing I don't get too, the kid, the boy that he killed, that Bill was trying to save, I don't understand if that kid was real or not.
Dude, I don't either. Honestly.
I was very awake for this part.
I didn't think it was real at first, but then Bill's like, he took a kid right in front of me.
That's what
And
I
was
don't
like,
know
oh,
if
so he
I don't know if
is.
he's playing mind tricks on him
Mhm.
because like we don't really see like any like news flashes or anything about that after like the little girl that was killed underneath the
Mhm.
stands during the football game,
Yeah.
baseball game, whatever it was. But I don't understand because that was like it was the one thing that this movie does have, it's fucking brutal. It is violent for sure,
Mhm.
which I both love and loathe about this movie.
Mhm.
The opening scene of the gay couple getting brutally beaten up in a
Yeah.
fucking hate crime, and that was like kind of tough to watch.
Yeah, man.
And I'm not one that gets
It's
squeamish.
as bad, if not a little worse, in the book. Honestly.
Okay, so it is a book thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is pretty serious. It makes more sense now it's a book thing that they wouldn't
Mhm.
leave it out. But I was I'm probably gonna do this without this in the movie. But
Yeah.
that was a little crazy. That was actually probably the first time I was a little creepy when they showed Pennywise on the little river banks right there with his
Mhm.
eyes glowing. And I think we actually saw it in the trailers too. But
Mhm.
so when it opened up, I was like, God damn, all right, this is what this movie is. And
Mhm.
then it starts getting into everybody else. And the one other thing I don't understand, and I don't know if this is explained to books or was purpose supposed to be like this,
Mhm.
why is every single person that was affected by Pennywise like rich and famous?
Yeah, I think the idea there is because Mike stays back in Derry and he's not like
Yeah,
fabulously successful. It's like the idea that if you leave Derry, it like doesn't drag you down anymore, and you're
like
like free to get to your own potential. You know,
yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense hearing it out loud. It was not
but it's a
something that
book thing that's not explained in the movie. In fairness, so
because that's what I mean. That whole thing I didn't really fully understand until I went and read it after and it was
mm,
explained. Because that whole thing, I was so confused at first what they meant by they didn't remember Pennywise. I was like, what the fuck are
yeah,
you talking about? You don't remember Pennywise? You don't remember a whole bunch of people dying, your brother getting his fucking arm bit off when you were a kid? You don't remember that?
mm,
And I think that like, and I kind of put the things together after of like how Bill had the whole thing of of Beverly when she was younger, covered in blood. How
yep,
he had that in his movie
mm,
that he was filming. I guess I kind of connected the dots like that after, but like I was so confused at first why no one knew what they were talking about.
mm,
And like you forget Mike, you forget one of the guys that was there on the most traumatizing thing that could ever happen to you.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But
So like in the book, as they leave Derry, you forget, your life in Derry, and Derry also is like heightens negative feelings and thoughts, and that's part of like in the first scene where they do like a hate crime. It's like obviously people are homophobic, but like in Derry, because it's such a shit place, people are like way more fucked up than like a normal place. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's for sure something now hearing you say that and reading it too, some stuff like that after that it makes a lot of sense. And it's the type of thing where I think this could be a movie that where I go back, I think I appreciate it a little bit more.
Right.
Type thing. But yeah, because I was watching it and I'm like, literally every single person is rich or famous or both. Like
Right.
like Bill is a script writer and a novelist
Mm-hmm.
on a movie or
Living
a
the
show.
dream, literally.
He's married to a movie star.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Jessica Chastain, who is rich but also being abused,
Mm-hmm.
but still rich. And then you have Bill Hader, who is like this seems to be a very very popular stand-up comedian.
Yeah, which I like because in the book he's a radio DJ, but now it's like, were you gonna make him a podcast? No offense to us, but like he's not gonna be a famous podcaster. Having him be a comedian makes a lot more sense, you know.
Yeah, and then like Eddie was driving a really nice car. It seemed to be in New
Mm.
York. You had Stanley, who was living in a huge house. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of back to my other point too about how this movie seems to deal with grieving and loss more than like the actual story itself. Where pretty much this movie takes a turn once Stanley kills himself.
Mm.
This movie basically turns into a movie of all them trying to deal with Stanley killing himself.
Mm.
And I don't know, maybe if that just distracted me, but I was like that for the longest time, like when they found their club after and they were down there and having the flashbacks, for the longest time it was just them thinking about Stanley and like them trying to deal with him killing himself.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I think a lot of times with novel adaptations, people give a little bit too much leeway in the sense that it's like, oh well, this is explained in the book, but personally, I don't think that's like good enough. You know what I mean? Like it needs to be in the movie. You need to like pretend the book doesn't exist and just explain anything that's in the background in the movie, or else it's gonna like hurt people who maybe haven't looked into it or haven't read the book and heard the overall enjoyment. Like, I think it's always such a cop out when people are like, oh, well, you got to read the book to understand this. It's like, I'm seeing the movie, I'm paying for the movie, I should understand the movie.
Yeah, and I think I think that's kind of evident too with the Rotten Tomato scores for it right now, because the critic score I think was at an 84 a few days ago, is now at a 66, and the audience score is at an 84. So I do think that there's a lot of book readers going to this and really liking it, and a lot of critics who never read the book that didn't like it. And I am on a very, very, this time around, I'm on the critic side, which is very odd for me. I'm usually on the audience side, but yeah, I think in the end, it wasn't what I wanted it, or wasn't what I thought it was going to be, and I think maybe that's why I'm disappointed. I'm being very open, where I think the whole thing of me going to see it at 10:30 at night and not really getting home till 2 a.m. really played an effect, because I was looking at my watch, like for the final hour I was looking at my watch like every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Honestly, and like I said earlier, when I fell asleep, I don't know how long I was asleep for. So for all I know, this movie could seem longer when I go see it again. I really don't know.
No, I honestly, like, there was after they defeat Pennywise, I was like, all right, tight, it's over. And then it went on for 25 more fucking minutes.
The other thing, I can now confirm, I will not be seeing The Irishman in the theaters.
Oh, yeah.
A half hour more of this? 40 minutes more of this, actually? Fuck that.
Yeah.
Because The Irishman's a flat 3.5 hours long. This was only 2 hours and, I think 49 minutes.
Yeah.
Still, oh, buddy, I will not be seeing... The Irishman's basically like a miniseries to me. I'm going to be probably watching it in, increments at home.
That's what they did with Hateful Eight on Netflix. You can watch it either all at once, or you can watch it as like a 4-part series.
I did not know.
Maybe they'll do that for this too, or for The Irishman.
Is that the extended cut?
Yeah, it's like the extended director's cut.
That's interesting. I did not know that. That's cool.
But yeah, man, this is it was just too long for me personally.
It is. That's the biggest thing it has going against it. One of to kind of get off the length thing. Bill Hader, as we said earlier, was great. I thought he was just so good. The whole thing about Richie, was I trying to figure out, was Richie saying that when he was carving the thing into the side of the bridge, was he saying that he, what was the initial he put after that? Did he put it? It was an E?
Yeah. So
Richie's was he saying gay. He had a crush on Eddie? Mm-hmm. Was that what that was?
Yeah, well, because earlier in the movie, Pennywise is like, "I know your secret," and then he has that weird moment in the arcade where it's like, "Oh, what? Are you gay or whatever?"
No. I totally got that. I just didn't get if they were saying that he was in love with Eddie.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what they were saying.
Yep.
Okay. I didn't. I was so late at this point. I didn't know if I was misunderstanding that or not.
Yeah. No, it's a little I guess subtle for how heavy-handed the scene of the arcade is.
Yeah,
is pretty subtle, and I honestly thought it was gonna be Stanley, because he went to his thing and has that moment in the synagogue and all that. But no, so that's that.
Also, I'm 99% sure that they dubbed over Finn Wolfhard's voice.
I've heard that Finn Wolfhard, people are saying that because they digitally de-aged the kids for this movie, that they were saying that they were having the hardest time with him. Probably one, he has the giant glasses, which probably throws stuff off, but two, we know what Finn Wolfhard looks like now because we just watched Stranger Things, and he doesn't look like he did a couple of years ago because he's growing up, he's a kid.
If you ever go back and watch it, especially when they're in the clubhouse, his lips are distractingly not synced with what he's saying, and it was killing me when I was watching it, because I'm like, I think that they dubbed over his voice.
Yeah, I feel like too. So they have the scenes in this movie that I guess are in between the fight scene and them rejoining each other in the first movie. Is that right?
Yep.
I mean, they're interesting, sure, but are they necessary? And there's no indication in that movie. They're not oh, yeah, no, I actually had another experience with Pennywise. All of us did, and now we're coming back. It was more we're friends, and we're not going to let each other down, in the first movie.
No, I think there's at least 35 to 45 minutes of things that could have been cut from this movie, and it would end up being either the same or better movie, honestly. One of the things I was not a fan of at all, and I guess like the only because they were pushing it the other side was Beverly and Ben.
Yeah.
I thought they were obviously very very heavily leaning towards Bill and Beverly, and I don't know. I thought the whole Ben and Beverly thing was really really forced.
Mhm.
Like, oh, I'm skinny now, and all that was really nice.
Remember,
when we were
kids, you only have value if you get hot.
I guess so, cause she was like she was all over Bill when it first came back. So I don't know. I mean, I'm really just nitpicking at this point, but I guess in the end I'm just disappointed, and I was stressed out. It was 3 hours long, so which is why I'm going to force myself to go see it again, which could either lead to me hating it more,
Even more,
or
yeah.
liking it more. So I guess we'll see. But my biggest star of the whole movie is Bill Hader. I thought he fucking crushed it.
I did
Honestly,
too.
that's the big thing. Isaiah Mustafa was really good, and then Pennywise I was just hoping would be a little bit better, a little scarier, but. Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise is good. I
think he's really good as that.
I think him and Tim Curry's they're just two very very different clouds in their movies. It's just I can't really compare the two, but yeah, Bill Skarsgård's good overall. Like we said, the casting and the acting is not even close to the issue with this movie. So
I think one of the reasons I actually like Pennywise or as the villain, and then I guess the both of them is because the first one ends with kids just beating the fucking shit out of him and dispersing him, and this one they just roast his ass to death.
Okay, so that's kind of what I was touching on earlier. They kill Pennywise by being mean to Pennywise.
Oh yeah, they bully the shit out of him and kill him. It's fucking hilarious.
This movie shows you that if you want to beat a bully, you have to be a bully.
Yeah, you all gotta just team up and call him a fucking clown.
Yeah, that was the other problem I had. That was the most absurd way to kill Pennywise ever.
I mean, it's better than the fucking miniseries, honestly.
I'm sure that's how it was close in the book, but like I'm like they're literally just insulting him to death.
Yeah, no, like they roasted him to death. It was hilarious. Not in a good way. Not in like this is good. It was just like, what the fuck am I watching right now?
And this was the point where I was like, okay, I'm ready for this movie to be over.
Oh, me too. And then it's 25 more minutes.
Yeah.
Including that shot from the trailer where they're all looking in their reflection and seeing their young selves.
There was a lot of shots of in the trailer that are after they beat Pennywise.
I think honestly, like that shot doesn't really make sense there because it should be like them coming back, but whatever. Especially with Eddie and Stanley dead now.
That's really it.
Also, is no one gonna like address the fact that Eddie's dead underground? Like what? Like,
well, I mean, they're gonna address like all the kids that were dead in underground that were in the fucking sewers. That like no one ever went into the sewers apparently ever in like fucking 20 years, 30 years, whatever it was. And then you have all these kids getting eaten around town that we don't know if they're real or not. Is anybody gonna address that?
Well, at least can like say, okay, Derry, maybe did no one perceive stuff correctly, like even in like the first one when Ben's getting fucking stabbed in the stomach and they just drive by him.
Yep.
Like maybe okay, the whole town's under like Pennywise's influence.
And it could be when they were killing in the beginning of this movie too, when no one helped.
Right, and then like then at the end it's just like, well, his wife isn't in Derry. Is she now going to be concerned? Is she not going to like ask her friends like what's going to happen here? I hate stuff like that in movies where it's like, okay, I'm more interested in that now.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck? At least could have like dragged his body out. I don't know. No closure for his wife. Very unfortunate. What else about this movie? I guess. Yeah, like I said, it's fine. For a horror movie, it's fine. Horror is really hard to do well.
I've honestly said all I needed to say. Really, it's something I'll see it again, and then I'll report back to the pod what I think. But it's it is what it is. I'm really disappointed with it. It's not a bad movie, but it's just not a good movie either. It's an average movie. It's
it's a hard movie to suggest that people go see too, because it's not like, oh yeah, it's like a stupid horror movie. Go see it, you'll be out in 90 minutes. It's like, this is a 3-hour movie. You have to be committed to this. And
And I see
also,
like
the CGI in both of the movies is not good. Straight up.
not good at all. That's
Like,
another great point. Just not that was not good. It was another problem with this movie, which is I feel like a 3 year turnaround is is not. There's no excuse for the CGI to be the way it was.
no, and like in the first movie, when I was watching it over the weekend, I was like, "Oh, this fucking sucks." Like, especially the painting woman. Like,
Yeah,
that was awful. And I don't know if it was supposed to be awful because they were kids or what, but it looked bad. And
they
I don't know.
also
Honestly, it's gonna look real bad in a few years. I feel like.
they gave away that entire Beverly scene where she goes to visit the house
Yeah,
in the
they
trailer.
did. Yeah, they
Like
did.
they quite literally gave the entire scene in that trailer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the one thing I liked about that scene was when Pennywise like stops talking and just stares. I kind of like the idea that Pennywise like doesn't really understand. This is just all in my head, but he doesn't really quite understand like how humans converse correctly.
yeah,
So he has like overly long pauses in between his speech sometimes, and I don't know. I like that. I don't know if that's what they intended, or if they were like, oh, this is more creepy because he just stops talking. In my head, it's just like, no, he just doesn't like know humans that well,
yeah.
so he doesn't know how to like have a conversation with somebody. I don't know. I guess if you've listened to this, you've either seen it and you're probably feeling pretty similarly to us, or you haven't seen it but you don't really give a shit. So you're probably not going to see it at all.
Shout out Brian Wan, who I can confirm will not see this movie.
No, not his thing.
All right, buddy. I've said all I needed to say.
Mhm.
I wish I came into this with a little more happier news, but it is what it is. But I'm very excited that we saw a movie last night and we recorded it today.
Oh,
I
me
think
too.
it's
Oh,
good
there is
for us.
actually one more thing. I don't get the tokens at all. How did they like? Okay, Beverly
I don't fucking
hides
understand
this,
that.
but like Ben went back to the school, but then he's like, "Oh, it's been in my wallet."
I
This
don't.
whole time, I was
I
like, why'd you go
I
to the school then, Ben?
I did not understand any
Yeah.
of that. I still don't. I almost forgot about it. The whole fucking Horcruxes thing.
Yeah,
There's just the Harry Potter Horcruxes storyline in this. I did not. There's a lot in this movie I don't understand.
yeah.
And like you said, I shouldn't have to read the book to understand it.
No, you should not. I guess I don't want to leave a completely negative note because I didn't hate the movie. Pennywise is a very creepy villain. I actually think he was less affected in this movie because he spends a lot of his time 60 feet tall, and that's not that scary or interesting.
Mhm.
It's way more scary when he's like unsettling and like just that clown, you know?
Like in the first movie when he's in like they put on the film for the video
Mm,
and he like pops out of the screen.
yeah.
That like
in,
that was
in the fridge when he like contorts his body.
yeah.
Like I thought that was probably my favorite part of that movie is
Yep.
just because it's so like disturbing and your mind is like, oh, a human body shouldn't do that, so it like unnerves you to your core, rather than like, yeah, obviously a giant spider clown is scary, but it's so unrealistic that it just becomes like, all right, that's just happening, I guess.
Was it better than the miniseries though?
Yeah, because the miniseries is just like a giant spider, but it's a practical effects spider, and it's
Yeah.
like super shitty. And then they like tackle it and like punch it to death.
Yeah.
It's bad, dude. It's so bad.
Oh, so they don't insult it to death?
No, that's why I like this so because it's dumb, but it was at least like better than them punching a spider to death.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't. I sound very negative. I don't dislike it as much as I sound like I do. It's fine. It's a fine
do.
movie.
I
It's
do.
a horror movie. It's too long. This should have been 2 hours tops.
All right, that's all I got. That's,
Yeah,
that's
Bill
I
Hader's
literally-
fucking awesome. So
Yes,
everyone,
yes.
you know.
Bill Hader. Go check out Barry on HBO.
Yeah,
Bill
instead of
Hader.
watching this, just watch Barry.
Bill Hader deserves all your attention on anything he's in right now. Honestly,
Yeah.
one of his first true like we're now going down a Bill Hader rabbit hole. The Skeleton Twins with him and Kristen Wiig. It was like this indie movie that came out. I don't know. I'm gonna say maybe like 7 years ago. Could be
Okay.
less. Could be more. One of his first like more serious roles where he plays like a suicidal twin brother to this girl. It's very good. He's very good at it.
Check it out. Kristen Wiig, also a very good actress.
Yes.
Like her quite a bit.
The bad guy in Wonder Woman 2 is Kristen
Oh
Wiig.
yeah, I'm actually excited for that. We'll see.
Yep, that movie is coming out next summer
Hmm.
when it was originally supposed to come out this summer.
Oh, oh, I did not know that. All right, so that's interesting. But yeah, hey guys, if you liked this, make sure you rate us on iTunes because that goes a long way. Apparently, I don't really know, but people say it does. And yeah, tell your friends. Subscribe to our new channel, Dylan. What's this channel called?
Wicked Good Podcast.
Hell yeah, it's a new little side endeavor that we're hoping will take off, and people will like it. So please do your part and subscribe. Dylan, where can they find you if they want to get in touch with you online?
DJ Clubberlang on Twitter with 2 Bs. I will say, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page for Wicked Good Everything, because there is some very fun stuff coming in the next month or two.
Oh
So
yeah,
make sure you stay in for that, because I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. I think you'll like it too. So make sure you check it out.
Absolutely. And you can find me on Twitter at the fake BMAR. That's BMARR. Of course, if you subscribe to this channel, we have Better Radio, we have Wicked Good Show, and we have a new show, Sunnydale Review, that we recorded the first 4 episodes of. That's coming out in October. That's just, well, it's like a month away, but it's a few weeks away. So look out for that. And like Dylan said, we have a special project in the works for Wicked Good Everything.
Something I feel like you and I can announce, since it's you and I and potentially some other people want to help out. We're gonna do live night of reviews for Watchmen, which is one we determined today, and then for sure The Mandalorian.
Yes.
Since it's going to be week by week, which is something that's going to be very, very fun and very, very cool to do. And we hope that it's both big for us, but also we have a good time, which Brian and I always have a good time together.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even when we're not too thrilled with a movie like this one, it's still fun to chat about.
Watchmen, I have zero expectations for that show because I wasn't a big fan of the movie, but HBO, it's your boy Lindelof from The Leftovers.
Yeah, coming off his best work in my opinion, so I'm hopeful, but I wouldn't be surprised to be disappointed either, honestly.
Also, to my understanding, did a lot of the heavy duty work for Lost also.
Yep. Him and Carlton Cuse.
Yes.
Q. Yeah, they're probably the head writers for most of those seasons. But yeah, so stay tuned. We're really excited about what we got going on. If you want to follow the channel on Twitter and check out what TV Head's tweeting about, that's at WG Everything.
Our Twitter account has a mind of its own right now.
Yeah,
which is both terrifying and interesting.
That's exciting, I think.
I'm pretty sure the Wicked Good Everything Twitter page is the start of Skynet going live. So please give a follow there to make sure you check in to.
Yeah, you want to be in good with TV Head when he takes over.
This bot just tweeted me yesterday saying that I'm reviewing today, and I was just like, okay, I guess I'm reviewing today.
He demanded it. And so follow us on Instagram at Wicked Good Everything. Of course, youtube.com/Wicked Everything. YouTube. Wicked Good Podcast. Once we get to 100 subscribers, we'll get the custom URL. We're not there yet, but help us out there. Twitch.tv/Wicked Good Everything. We should have some fun stuff coming up soon. Perhaps some Gears of War. Maybe when Pokemon comes out next month, we'll have stuff there. And yeah, stay tuned for a lot of cool stuff coming up.
Yes. Thank you. I love you all. Thank you for listening to me. And thank you for listening to me yell and be sad about this movie, because I guess in the end I'm sad.
Yeah, so it always sucks to be disappointed by something you're looking forward to.
Hey, I can never be disappointed in anything more than I was in Last Jedi, so that's what this movie has going for it. So.
And if you're interested in hearing that, we have that as a podcast too.
I guess.
Check out in the archives, as 2 people who are no longer with the channel have a very heated argument as Dylan and I sit idly by like, do we step in?
Very problematic episode.
It's not great. It's not great at all. Not as great as this episode.
That was the point where I'm like, hey Brian, why don't we do a podcast of just you and I?
Yeah, that's a good idea. That was my reaction to that. Oh man. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.
See ya.